Like many Americans, I've been appalled by the mass shootings in this country. But I've been inspired by the young people who've spoken up about it. So today I'd like to share some of my thoughts. Most Americans feel that the Constitution guarantees our right to bear arms. But that's not really the whole story. It actually says, since we need a well-regulated militia for security, we have the right to bear arms. Now, as far as I can tell, we don't have a well-regulated militia. And at the time the Constitution was written, we had no police, we had no army. So it made sense. Today, every locality has its own police force, and we spend more than $600 billion every year on our national security. So I think we have security handled. Now, no one has more respect for the Constitution than I do. I mean, how many people do you know who actually carry the Constitution around and read it? But I know that this was designed as a living, breathing document that evolves. Why do I say that? Has anyone ever heard of the 3/5 clause? Written into our Constitution is the fact that for the purposes of representation in Washington, African Americans are worth 3/5 the value of white Americans. This is written into our founding document. Now, to me, this points out two things. First, it's not perfect. It's designed to evolve over time in order to create a more perfect union, which is what it says. And two, reasonable people, mature adults with different opinions, passionately held, can come together, discuss their differences, forge a consensus, create a compromise in order to move the nation forward. Wouldn't it be nice if we could encourage our current leaders in Washington to do that? Now, this brings me to my big question. Why do we feel we need guns to be free in this country? We're the only modern democracy that claims that. Why is that so? You know, I've discovered there are two other countries that give their citizens the right to bear arms. Mexico and Guatemala. This is the company we keep. So what does this prove? What does this say to the world? Well, I actually think that what we've proven is that we can't be trusted with our guns. Why do I say that? Because we lead the world in mass shootings. We lead the world in mass shootings. Now, we're not the only country that's had this problem. In Australia, they used to have mass shootings every year. But on one occasion, 35 people were killed. Within 12 days, their leaders got together and created the National Firearms Act. They outlawed automatic weapons, semi-automatic weapons, even shotguns. They created a 28-day waiting period to buy a gun and a gun buyback program that took more than 1 million guns off the streets. They used to have mass shootings every year. In the 20 years since that law has been in effect, guess how many mass shootings they've had? 0. 0. Now contrast that with our country. When there's a mass shooting, what do our leaders do? They send their prayers to the families of the victims. They do nothing. And some of them have the nerve to say it's patriotic to prevent gun control. Well, I say it's patriotic to prevent the murder of American citizens. We've made it too damn easy to get guns and use them. This is not the wild, wild west. This is the 21st century. So maybe, just maybe, it's time for us to grow up and join the rest of the civilized world. And that could start by coming together, discussing our differences, forging a consensus, creating a compromise, and enacting common sense gun control legislation. Now, I know there are people who feel they want to have a gun for protection. I have no problem with that. But I ask you, why would an American citizen need an assault weapon? Whom are you planning on assaulting? Assault weapons are for the military, not the citizenry. They are not toys. So I ask you, the next time there's a mass shooting, and we all know there will be a next time, what are you going to do? Are you going to send your prayers like our do-nothing politicians? Or are you going to do something? Because I urge you to do something. Contact your representatives in Washington and hold their feet to the fire. Ask them what they're doing to actually handle this. Do something, because something must be done. People are dying. Men, women, children are dying. We need to stop this American slaughter, this American carnage. We need to do something. I urge you to do something. You know, there's a saying, there's a special place in hell for those who do nothing. Well, I urge you to do something.